Welcome to the Wednesday meditation service. I'm going to open with the reading from the Daily Word, and this is available in the bookstore. It's such a wonderful way to start your day, to lead into a meditation before you eat, and this is the one for today. I reflect the light of God. If I gaze upon the surface of a moonlit lake on a still night, I will see light reflected on the water's surface. But if the wind disturbs the water or clouds obscure the moon, the reflection won't be visible. This truth pertains to my spiritual life. The light of God is always shining, even if the winds of life disturb my focus or the darkness of my doubt casts a shadow. I have the power to calm the winds and clear the clouds, so I may see the light shining brightly and reflect it once again. I tend to my spiritual path and deepen my awareness of God's presence. I make time for prayer and devotional practices to better reflect the light of God. I am a spiritual being, a living reflection of all that God is. So we're going to do a call and response chant, and let's begin. Just let that music go in and through you. Come to the light. The candle of hope. Everyone gather near. Come to the light. Warm in its glow. Bringing the light to hear. This is the time. This is the place. We let the joy be raised. Lift up your voice. Sing and rejoice. Open your heart to grace. Come to the light, the candle of hope. Everyone gather to hear. This is the time. This is the place. We let our joy be raised. Lift up your voice. Sing and rejoice. Open your heart to grace. Come to the light. The candle of hope. Everyone gather. Near. Come to the light. Warm in its glow. Bringing the light. To hear. This is the time. This is the place. We let the joy be raised. Lift up your voice. Sing and rejoice. Open your heart to grace.
Good evening, everyone. Since the beginning of time, the enlightened masters have known that mankind is beset with two natures. The desire for physical survival and the deep calling to know his spiritual origin. These two natures are spoken to throughout the Bible in different ways. There's an allegory in the Old Testament about Cain and Abel, revealing this particular duality. Eve gave birth to two sons, Cain and Abel. Cain became a tiller of the earth, and Abel a keeper of the sheep. At some point in their process of life, Cain and Abel make an offering to God. Cain makes his offering from the earth, and God doesn't receive it. Abel makes his offering, and God receives it. To understand the deep truth being shared in this particular story, you simply have to have read the Bible a little bit to see that these great spiritual beings in the Bible, Moses and the like, Jacob, and all the people that are spoken about, become shepherds, keepers of sheep. And with Jesus speaking to his disciples in the end, he says to Peter, "Keep my sheep, care for my sheep." Well, it's about spiritual thought, spiritual reality. And these two natures, they are actually against each other. Cain, in that allegory, kills Abel. And when God asks him what happened, God says that I hear Abel's blood calling to me from the earth. Well, the whole story is about how our physical life and the impulse to fill it and make it work. Thank you, Laura. And make it successful eclipses our spiritual awareness. It kills the spirit if it is simply that which is our motivating consciousness, the physical. So throughout the Bible, they're only talking about this whole idea of transformation. In order for us to find life and find it abundant, we have to make some sort of transformation from the strictly physical acquiring pursuit to this more expanded level of awareness, of spiritual awareness or awakening. Now, Eckhart Tolle speaks to these two natures that mankind has within his experience. He calls it an inner purpose and an outer purpose. Our inner purpose is spiritual in essence, and our outer purpose is physical in essence. But according to Tolle, and even according to Jesus, we don't destroy either, but the inner becomes the priority, so that the inner spiritual awareness becomes the priority. And we cannot have a life truly worth living, or a life of well-being, happiness, and harmony, unless that priority is taking place in our awareness. And that, by the way, is all there is to religion. Whatever became of what we look at as religion today, and all the myriad changes and pomp and circumstances and all of that, is merely a bogus attempt to represent God in the outside experience. It is incumbent upon each of us to at some point truly recognize our divine nature and allow it to be the guiding awareness, the guiding light in our endeavors in the world, in life. Eckhart Tolle speaks to this in a number of his books, all of his books actually. This is from Oneness with All Life on page 99. Awakened doing is the enlightenment of your outer purpose, what you do with your inner purpose, awakening and staying awake. Awakened doing in the alignment of your outer purpose, that is, what you do with your inner purpose, awakening and staying awake in the doing. Through awakened doing, you become one with the outgoing purpose of the universe. Consciousness flows through you and into the world. It flows into your thoughts and inspires them. It flows into what you do and guides and empowers it. So he's speaking about this priority of the inner purpose. As we do spiritual practice and align ourselves more and more with this inner purpose or this divine nature, then we live a more harmonious, insightful life, because we are aware of the divine presence in everything that we are doing, and we do it from a divine motivation. I think last week I spoke about secret quitting, that people today are not, many of them are not, want to really be inspired in doing the work they are paid to do. They are not devoted to do it well. They are simply trying to collect the income they need, but they're not giving their attention to doing the work well. And this is just an example of how far away mankind has come from understanding how to be happy. You see, we must find our way back into this priority of life, the sacred divine awareness, which reveals to us that everything we look upon and everything we are involved doing is sacred. And if we have a limited idea or attitude toward it, we take away from our peace of mind. That's all there is to it, because we can't separate ourselves from that which gives us life and breath. We can't separate ourselves. People attempt to call themselves atheists. There's no such thing as an atheist. There's only such a thing as somebody so totally ego-centered as to want to declare that he or she is self-created and in charge of everything they do with no misgivings whatsoever. It's a total, limited, false point of view, and cannot bring peace of mind and cannot bring happiness. We are connected to a grand intelligence which gives us life. Aligning ourselves with that more and more gives us the insight that can be gained from an omnipresent intelligence that is in fact all-knowing. Do we continue to live in an unknowing state? accepting the fact that we are just ignorant of what in any given moment is appropriate? Can we expect that living in that limited fashion, without knowing in any given moment what is appropriate, that that's going to bring us harmony and peace? This is the futility of the ego-centered mind. It cannot. And it's incumbent upon us to recognize that at some point and to make a serious effort at bringing the priority of spiritual awareness into the forefront of our living. So that's our purpose on the earth. And it's called, a dual purpose because we need the priority of the Spirit to be involved in enlightened doing. Jesus prayed not to take his disciples out of the world, but to keep them from the evil or the evil one, which is this illusionary, ego-centered attempt to make the physical life the all-glorious life to be lived. We have to at some point be awake enough to say, you know what, it's going after the world and chasing the world and the things of the world and the treasures and pleasures of the world doesn't work. It's not working. I have too many conflicts in my life. I have too many difficulties. I'm fear-driven. And I don't know how to operate in harmony with life. So that revelation must come to us. And it comes to people in different ways. In some people it comes in a very slow, gradual way. And some people, they get it in one fell swoop. Something happens where this whole physical idea of life just completely explodes. And they must then choose the path toward the light. And that is what is going to take place for them to have life and have it abundantly. It is necessary for us to realize this, and the masters give us ways to realize this truth. If you listen very carefully to this, we are receiving instructions about how to continue to focus the mind on what is spiritual and valuable. The modalities of awakened doing are acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm. Each one represents a certain vibrational frequency of consciousness. You need to be vigilant to make sure that one of them operates whenever you are engaged in doing anything at all, from the most simple task to the most complex. If you are not in the state of either acceptance, enjoyment, or enthusiasm, look closely and you will find that you are creating suffering for yourself and others. I'll read that again. This is from Oneness with All Life, page 99, paragraph 2. The modalities of awakened doing are acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm. Each one represents a certain vibrational frequency of consciousness. You need to be vigilant to make sure that one of them operates whenever you are engaged in doing anything at all, from the most simple task to the most complex. If you are not in a state of either acceptance, enjoyment, or enthusiasm, look closely and you will find that you are creating suffering for yourself and others. Eckhart Tolle doesn't pull any punches in the way he speaks to us through this particular vessel, oneness with all life. This idea of acceptance is one of the hard ones. It requires acceptance to operate in the awakened state in a world of limited consciousness. We have a story that's really overused in Unity, but I think it makes its point very clearly about the power of acceptance. How you can rise into a place of acceptance and feel a spiritual peace and joy that are not contingent upon the physical conditions of the world moving in concert with your personal desires. In other words, things are not going your way. And so the one attribute that is necessary is acceptance on a spiritual level. And we have this story that I said is overused. It's about ancient India, where a young girl becomes pregnant. She's from a very high class. She's from the highest class. And she becomes pregnant with her boyfriend, who's of the lowest class. And the father and mother are outraged and want to know who it is that made their daughter pregnant. If she discloses the fact that it's her boyfriend of the lowest class, he will be ostracized and outcast. And she doesn't want that to happen. So she tells her parents that the father of the child she is carrying is the venerable holy man in the village. The father goes immediately to confront the holy man and tells him that he is such a dastardly human being to live this hypocritical life that he's living. But he's not going to get away with it, because when the child is born, the child is going to be given to him to raise. And the holy man only responds with, so. So. And so it turns out that when the child is born, it is given to the holy man to raise. And the holy man raises the child until it is 6 years old. And has a beautiful, loving relationship with this young boy. But then the daughter confesses to her family that it was this young man of the lower caste that is the father of the child, and she wants to have the child back. And so the father goes back to the holy man and says, "What a dastardly thing you have done by raising this child when you knew all the while it wasn't yours." And the holy man says, so. So. And the father takes the child back to the daughter. And in all of that, the holy man never lost touch with his peace, his happiness, and his joy. It is a difficult thing for us to grasp, because in our modern society, we are more likely to be undone by desires for something that are thwarted. In other words, we desire something to happen, or we desire something to come to pass in our life, and it doesn't come to pass. It's thwarted. And so we are cast down within. And every day this happens, like on and off, on and off, on and off. If you are not in the enlightened state where the priority is to maintain your awareness of the divine intelligence which gives us life and gives us insight and gives us peace when there shouldn't be any peace, and gives us healing and truth and honor and love. So our difficulty rises day after day after day when things don't go according to our personal expectations and desires. We are cast down because those expectations are like demands in the mind. What an expectation is actually saying is, I want this to come to pass. And you're actually saying, if it doesn't come to pass, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be anxious or depressed. That's why it is necessary for us to transcend the thinking of the world. The thinking of the world, that is from the initial priority, that's from the level of Cain, wanting to make the physical life the only life and the way of life. As long as we're involved in that, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment, disillusionment, and finally despair. Because it is not our true self or our true life. We are eternal soul beings. If only that could begin to be taught when we were young in school. To be teaching the truth of our nature. We are eternal soul beings going through a physical experience. And it is more important for us to align ourselves with that spiritual ideal. Do you see how beautiful it becomes? How different the world would be if we grew up knowing that everything we look upon is part of us, is sacred. So you don't have to inculcate the idea of doing unto others what you'd have others do unto you, with fear in the background, of course. That's what traditional ideas are all about. If you don't do unto others what you'd have them do unto you, you're not going to heaven. But when you recognize that everything is sacred, and you operate from a sacred level of awareness, you're maintaining a mystical state of consciousness that is feeding in to the collective consciousness of the world. And that's what we are called to do. That's what our spiritual practice is all about. So, again, the master we are speaking of speaks to it in this way. This is from Oneness with All Life. Look at how Eckhart Tolle attempts to simplify everything for us. So it's not some deep theological idea that we have to kind of wrap our heads around. It's a very simple desire to awaken and live a more effective, harmonious life. And this is what he says to this. You will enjoy any activity in which you are fully present. Any activity that is not just a means to an end. It isn't the action you perform that you really enjoy, but the deep sense of aliveness that flows into the action. That aliveness is one with who you are. This means that when you enjoy doing something, you are really experiencing the joy of being in its dynamic aspect. That's why anything you enjoy doing connects you with the power behind all creation. It's interesting because it's possible. And sometimes you hear things being said from people that have been in unity a while that is so counter to the truth we are putting to work in our lives. that it blows your mind. I mean, must we really think, is Eckhart Tolle lying to us? He spent 2 years in a state of despair, somewhat despair, after he realized he was trying to be an academic, deeply involved in academia. And he saw the futility of it, the thinking mind, trying to figure it all out, understand it, and fix the world and fix a life. And he realized the impossibility of it. And then he surrendered it all. And so then he started what? Lying to the rest of us? This is the light of life coming through him, just as the light of reality comes through Helen Schuckman. The light of reality comes through Jesus, comes through all the masters. So listen very carefully to what this divinely guided being is sharing with us. You will enjoy any activity in which you are fully present, any activity that is not just a means to an end. It isn't the action you perform that you really enjoy, but the deep sense of aliveness that flows into it. And what he means is the deep sense of aliveness that flows into what you're doing when you're doing it wholeheartedly. In other words, you're not sloughing it off. You're not trying to be done with it fast and get out of it. You're not trying to get to be someplace else or do something different because it's not right that you should have to do this job that has come your way to be done. This doesn't belong to me. All of that is just nonsensical insanity propagated by the thinking of the world. He's saying everything you look upon and everything you do is sacred. And if you do it in that state of mind, this feeling of aliveness comes through you, because then God says, this is actually God saying this. Well done, good and faithful servant of life. Well done. You're finally doing it wholeheartedly, and it's really working for you. That aliveness is one with who you are. That's your consciousness of God. This means that when you enjoy doing something, you are really experiencing the joy of being in its dynamic aspect. That's why anything you enjoy doing connects you with the power behind all creation. It can't be said any clearer than that. If you're not involved in spiritual practice to sustain the awakened doing process in your life, that is when things are starting to unravel and you feel confronted, or you check in and you know you're resisting what you're doing, take a pause. Take a pause and realize you are now checking out of being in sync with the actual rhythm of life created by the maestro. God said, this is what I am creating. This is what is happening. This is what is now. Stop alluding to the limited past, the seeming mistakes of the past, gone. And the future hasn't arrived yet. Are you present now, wholeheartedly present? That's it. You take the holy pause and say, you could have peace. You could have joy. You could have love. If you don't resist, if you don't have resentment. It's a very simple spiritual process. And we're going to practice our spiritual practice of meditation using our Tibetan bowls. These bowls are calibrated to chime and vibrate with the 7 chakras of the mind, which give expression to the physical body we live in. If we just allow ourselves to relax into that, you can make that a meditation in itself. When we get to this place of silence, where we're not flowing with the music of the bowls, we may just want to hold this thought, embrace this thought. There is only one everything. Only one. In you, in me, in everything we see. There is only one. Only one. in this refined level of awareness. Let us offer the names of those that have been submitted to our prayer list. As Norma calls the name, just let the thought, "You are whole," go to the name.
Mario, Monica Frias, Rosa Estrada and daughters, Eileen Saunders, P. Long, Justin Long, Karen D., Gail B., Irving Rodriguez, Spencer Cobley, David and Marilyn DiCarlo, Sigrid and Winnie, Healing for Anonymous Persons, help those who are trying to quit smoking, Wolfie Winter, Sarah D., Stephanie, Susan Pedrick, Bless Our Youth Department, John, Cintisha, Steve, Marie, Ronnie, Bless Richard, Richard Ho, Robin, Kludig, Pakistan people and children, Ukrainian nation, Aunt Sherry, Amron, the Beltram family, Sandy Spahn and family, Sandy Bigtree and family, the air, the water, earth, all life on planet Earth. And you can call out a name at this time if you'd like to do so. We see this healing light surrounding the prayer box and all the people whose names that have been submitted throughout the month. We see them healed physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Let us take a moment to visualize the new heaven in earth, recognizing that this divine awareness is rising in the hearts, the minds, the consciousness of everyone sharing this Boulder community with us. And this divine consciousness rising in the hearts, the minds, the consciousness of everyone sharing the state of Colorado with us, and spreading to everyone sharing these United States of America with us. And it's spreading to every nation, every culture, every continent of the world, all the peoples of earth coming to the realization of their divinity, and that divine awareness bringing peace, healing, and harmony to our planet and to everything sharing this planet with us, to all the creatures and the marine life, to the waterways and the mountains and the oceans, the forests and the deserts. Everything is moving into the new heaven in earth, establishing the will of God as divine peace, love, healing, and harmony. As we pray, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and God is love. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. As we take our offerings in our hands, let's bless them with this offering statement. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. Amen.
Oh my mind, learn thou self-control. Oh my mind, learn thou self-control. Go not in the houses, go not in the house. Learn self-control. Learn self-control. Oh my, learn thou self-control.
Join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of truth, and to the victory of the Spirit of truth. Amen.
We're going to have refreshments in the bookstore. It's open. And if you've never been in the bookstore, it is such an incredible place. What a vibration. And I'm going to be doing the Sacred Feminine tomorrow, starting the group again. It'll be twice a month, from 12 to 1:30. We're going to learn how to be the best we can as females on this earth plane. We'll be learning different healing methods that you just can pick up right away. And
Use your hand like your batteries are dying.
oh, my battery died? You can't hear me?
They're dying, so that's...
Well, can I just talk into this? Well, anyway, I can talk louder. I really got a big voice. I can talk really loud. So, the Sacred Feminines from 12 to 1:30, and it's going to be in the bookstore in the
Annex.
area that's
The annex in the bookstore.
it's like an annex.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never knew that word before, but it's okay. All right.
Okay.
And choir is at 6:30. We'll be rehearsing down in the middle room, and we will be working material, and we may have you sing this Sunday. If it doesn't work out too well, we can put it off for a little while until you feel more secure. But it's really a great bunch of people that join the choir. We get so close, and you make friends. And we also get a chance to have you up here. So.
On Sunday at 9 a.m., I will be giving a follow-up talk on the application of the truth I shared last Sunday, which is the essential revelation of the life in unity you are attempting to understand. So if you weren't there, or you didn't pick it up online, you can still find it on YouTube. Go to my 9 a.m. service last Sunday. All right. To everyone, we have the refreshments and fellowship, actually in the bookstore. To everyone, good night.
And you